Hello, I'm starting this video today with wet hair, as you can see. I could have waited to start filming this video, but I just wanted to jump right in because I have just got a new plant and it is blowing my mind, actually blowing my mind. I know I said I wasn't going to get any new plants for a while, but I mentioned in my repot and chat video the other day that I'd come across something really special on Facebook Marketplace. And so I picked it up yesterday and it's just amazing. It's amazing and it has put me in the best mood ever. It has, however, meant, because it's quite a big plant, that I've had to do a bit of rearranging. I've had to move several things, well actually one big main thing out of this space and have a little bit of a jig about with the rest of the house. So I thought I would start by taking you through what I've done to kind of change things up in the house and then show you my new plant. And then I just wanted to take you through some updates because I have had so much going on in my plant collection, as always. But this feels like the first little period in a while where, I don't know, I'm just acknowledging the exciting things and the bad things aren't necessarily getting me down in the way that they have been recently. So yeah, we're kind of not particularly focusing on good or bad, but just some things that I'm excited to share with you. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Yoli. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learnt over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And I've started this video as well in such a flurry of excitement that I have just realised I haven't put on my microphone, which is not charged. So I do apologise if the audio is a little bit patchy. I hope it's okay. I'll do some tweaks in the edit. But yes, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So before I show you the exciting new arrival, I just wanted to show you the plants that I've had to rearrange a little bit in order to make this work. The new plant that I've got is the biggest plant I think I have ever brought into my collection. I usually get my plants a little bit smaller and I let them grow. And this one is just going to blow your mind, guys. But before we get to that, my Monstera deliciosa, this one is a plant that I love. And I know when I had my big houseplant reset recently, this was one of the ones that I was like, I don't know where I'm going to put it in the space. I don't know how I'm going to make it work. And I did find a spot that it did work and the plant would have been happy, but this other one takes priority now. So for the time being, I've put it in this corner here and I'm just hoping that it's going to be enough light for this plant. At the moment, I'm filming this on a very British, drizzly, horrible day, so the natural light isn't great. But towards usually like the later half of the afternoon, this window does let in really beautiful sunshine. So I think I'm just going to have to keep a very close eye on this plant and see how it responds. I really hope it's going to be okay here. I was thinking about its lighting before I moved to this house when I was at the flat, and I think the light it's getting in this spot is probably about on par with what it was getting in the corner that I was keeping it by my TV at the flat. So I do think the plant will adjust. I may need to kind of move it a little bit closer to the window to start with, but this is the spot that I'm aiming for to be its final position. It's quite hilarious actually because Ross doesn't like this plant. He really, really hates it. He thinks it's really unnecessary and that is where we very much disagree. However, I moved this one here and I moved the one that was here before upstairs, which I will take you to in a minute. And he hasn't noticed this yet. We were in the living room all evening yesterday and he didn't even notice. So I'm just not going to say anything. And maybe he will never notice. I don't know. But yeah, that's where it's living for now. And hopefully that will do the plant well. And before I take you upstairs and show you where I put the plant that was there before, there are a couple of little updates that I was going to give you in here as well. So I will flip the camera around. So the first one on the windowsill here is my Hoya australis Lisa. And obviously I'm growing this plant in a bit of an unconventional way. It started growing off its trellis and I was like, I'm just going to train it to climb the wall and see how it does. And you know what? It's put out so much new growth like that I'm like, I'm just going to let it keep growing. I know that's not maybe the recommended way to grow Hoyas. They do quite like to climb round something, but when you just stand back and look at it, it looks so pretty. And the other thing with this plant, it's a little bit dehydrated. I did actually water it this morning, but if I carefully spin it round, can you see how big its leaves have got? Like, isn't that insane? And I really do think that that's because this plant has been in this window in a spot that just provides such amazing light. I know I said it a while ago, but I had to move loads of my like non-succulent tropical plants away from this window because so many of them were getting scorched. And I was like, I'm just going to keep this space for like cacti succulents, semi-succulents like Hoya. And this one has just flourished. It's also got several peduncles that are coming on the stems. So I'm like, maybe it'll flower for me soon. I'd be so happy if it did. But the other thing I'm actually, oh, caught on a plant. The other thing I'm actually thinking of doing, I think just because I love like the look of this. Oh, also just look at that sun stress. Isn't that beautiful? I think just because I love the look of this so much, and standing back, always conscious not to show the full view out of my window, but standing back you can see obviously loads of plants growing looking out, but I have got quite a few little ones there that I just don't see and I don't appreciate unless I'm actually like bending down to water them. So I think what I am probably going to do is all of the ones like, for example, my big Euphorbia white ghost, the one just there, like ones like that are big enough to kind of take up a little bit of space behind the sofa, I'm going to leave there. And the smaller ones, I think I might move upstairs to our spare room. We've recently tried to just kind of clear that out a little bit. We had a friend staying and I'm like, then that would allow for slightly bigger plants on this windowsill. And yeah, it would still be quite a nice low maintenance zone upstairs. But then if we come over here, up here, along with my Dean McDowell, is a variegated ivy. And you guys, I don't even know if I've mentioned this one in videos yet. I might have like briefly showed you it, but it's actually quite a funny story. At the beginning this year, I think it was like February time, I was like, I'm going to go to Wisley and I'm going to do a Houseplant Tour UK thing there. And me and my friend Sarah ended up going to Wisley, I think 3 times in total. And for various reasons, every single time we went, we weren't able to get into the glass house. And oh my God, we need to go back and do that again. But we did pay a visit to the shop, the garden centre shop, when we were there. And one of the things I picked up was this variegated ivy. And it was beautiful. It was only about, I think, that big when I first got it, like that long. It has grown so much since then. But I was a little bit wary of this plant because I have never had good luck with growing ivy indoors. I know some people seem to just get on really, really well with it, and I have never been that person. But I was like, you know what? I'm in a new environment now. Like, let's just try it again. Let's see how it does. And it has just flourished and I love it. I absolutely love it. I have heard that this is one that can be ridiculously susceptible to spider mites. So I have actually got a load of spider mite sachets just up on that top shelf with my Dean McDowell and the ivy. So in the event that anything does rock up, it will hopefully just deal with itself. But like, if you stand back, you know how I always bang on about texture? I just think that texture from the ivy is so gorgeous. And yeah, I just feel really proud of myself that I'm now able to grow this plant. And you know what? It hasn't been hard, which kind of makes me think like my last place was maybe just like environmental. Maybe that's why it wasn't working. But yeah, always try a plant again, guys. Don't just think you can't grow something, because I was set on the fact that I couldn't do it. And now I'm feeling pretty chuffed with myself. So yeah, right, on to the other one that I moved. So this is the plant that was previously in the spot of the Monstera deliciosa, the big one. This has really been like a Monstera rearrange. But yeah, I've just put it in the corner here in the bedroom next to my mirror. And although it's not ideal, like it does get a little bit squished when I open that wardrobe door. I'm just going to have to do it carefully. It did seem like I don't know, the best and most logical space for this plant. Also, I've been thinking for ages I'd want to get like a hanging plant or something kind of nice trailing down that wall because it's a little bit plain at the moment. And this just kind of gives the same impression. It's like a beautiful splash of greenery. And actually, you know what, although I grew to quite like it in the spot it was in downstairs, there's something about having it here that I actually really love, because I've been on the fence with this plant a few times and not known whether or not it's one I might chop up. And actually, I think it really, really works here. This is one as well that, although it is a plant that prefers higher light, it's a Monstera albo, but it's reverted, so it doesn't have much white on it at all nowadays. Although it prefers higher light, it has grown in lower light spots over the years. And this one, like, if I turn the camera so you can see where, Julia's asleep, see the window there, it's probably about 2.5, 3 meters back, which might not be ideal, might not be ideal for it long term. But I guess I could put a little hanging grow light or something, like it wouldn't blind us in that spot. It's not like we'd have it in our faces in bed or anything. But again, hilariously guys, this is obviously a big kind of statement plant. There was nothing in that corner apart from my orbifolia before this. And Ross came in and he was just like pottering about in the bedroom, and I was like, notice anything different? And he was like, no. And I was like, what about the massive plant in the corner? And he was like, oh, didn't even see that. So it just kind of makes me feel like I could sneak loads of plants in, and would he notice? Maybe I should do a little game and like start hiding more and more plants on his side. But yeah, for now, that seems like a lovely spot for that plant, and I wanted something green there anyway, so I feel like that's worked quite well. And before I take you downstairs and I show you the new plants, just while I'm up here, I'll just give you an update on my Monstera dubia, because I'm aware I haven't done that in ages and it is up here currently. So yeah, this is the dubia right now. You know what guys, I don't know what to do about this plant, because obviously my big Monstera dubia, oh, pick this up so you can kind of take a closer look. That's what it's looking like at the moment, very much growing off the moss pole, needs attention. But my big Monstera dubia that I had growing at the flat was my pride and joy plant. I loved it more than anything, and I felt just, yeah, so proud to have been able to grow that plant to that level. And now with this one, like, it's obviously bouncing back amazingly, and I could get it onto like a bigger, chunkier moss pole, and I could, in theory, grow it big again. But I'm like, where would it go? Where the heck would this plant go? Because the space downstairs is starting to get a bit packed, and I don't want I really don't want to allow things to feel really overwhelming, particularly when I have just cleared so much space in my collection. But even like, we're in the spare room right now, like I've got plants up there, I've got plants down there, like I've got an empty cabinet here. So, you know, I guess I could put the Monstera dubia in here, but I think that would be too small. I just think that'd be too small. So yeah, I'm in a little bit of a dilemma, I think, just because I feel a lot of attachment to this one. I got it as a teeny tiny thing on a plank, and at one point I was growing it to give me leaves that were like that size. So parting with this one would be tricky, but I kind of feel like I might need to do it at some point soon, because yeah, it's growing okay here for now, but I don't know, I'm just kind of keeping it alive. I'm not bringing out any potential in this plant. So maybe I've just answered my own question. Yeah. God, this video has only been about Monsteras so far. But moving on to the new plant, which, guess what it is? It's a Monstera. Let's take you downstairs because this one is incredible. Okie dokie, guys. Are you ready for this? So, this is my new Monstera Thai Constellation. Let's just take a moment, shall we? Because this plant is actually insane. It's insane. So I was scrolling on Facebook Marketplace for something completely different, not plant related, and the algorithm obviously just knows what I like, and this popped up and I was like, oh my goodness. It was on Marketplace for £200, which I know is not cheap. It's Probably the most I've ever paid for a plant, but also I've never bought a plant this big before. As I said at the beginning of this video, I tend to get much smaller plants and try and grow them big myself. But like, how could I pass this opportunity by? It just blew my mind. It is in near perfect condition. And the lovely woman, Charlotte, that I got this off, you said that you got this as a cutting during lockdown. Like, I think it was quite a small plant, you said, when you got it, and you've just grown it yourself. This lovely person as well is just moving house and basically just doesn't have the space for this plant anymore. So yeah, I feel so lucky to have it. Like, I have had a Thai Constellation once before. I think I grew it for maybe 2 or 3 years, and I don't know, at that time, I got rid of it when I had just moved into the flat, if I remember correctly. And at that time, although I loved the idea of the Thai Constellation, oh, coffee machine, I'm really badly organised today. Yeah, although I love the idea of the Thai Constellation, I don't think I was quite ready to take it on. Not that it is like a difficult plant per se, but I don't know, I just didn't get it right. And eventually I took it to a plant swap and I swapped it with someone else for something, I can't remember what. But yeah, this one as well also has the most beautiful new leaf that actually this morning has just kind of fully unfurled. The person that I bought it from did a really lovely job at like wrapping it up really carefully. And I actually, well, my mum helped me. She's got a bigger car than I do. So my mum came with me to get this plant. And then I sat in the boot the whole way home holding the pots to make sure that it wasn't going to tip or anything like that. But I was really thinking that that new leaf would be damaged, and remarkably, miraculously, what am I saying? Let's go with remarkably. Remarkably, the leaf is not just unscathed, but is actually perfect. Like, there is not a scratch on that new leaf, and it just looks wonderful. The seller as well was saying that she hadn't watered it. She said that she only waters it about once a month. So that's good to know. I mean, I definitely always will err on the edge of under as opposed to over watering. But it's currently growing in soil and it looks like it's in a lovely big pot. It has got amazing aerial roots. But yeah, I did christen this plant with a water this morning, which was so fun. I got up and I made a coffee and I was like, oh, I'm going to mix up a nice little fertiliser and I'm going to come through and I'm going to just, I don't know, give it a water and welcome it into my home. So yeah, I am literally on cloud 9 today. I feel so excited by this plant. And yet again, it does feel nice to have had a shift up in the space because I don't know, like I said it in my reset video, but there is just something quite refreshing and therapeutic about rearranging your plants and feeling like you can like quite literally see them from new angles. So yeah, again, I feel happy with the moving that I've done of things. And yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do when this one gets a lot bigger. I don't know. I didn't think that far ahead and I don't regret that either. So I guess we will just wait and see what happens. But yeah, welcome to the jungle, my friend. And now coming back down here, because I've got some other things I want to show you. I really want to just like sit like this so that we can have it in the background. I decided to raise it up just so that foliage wasn't just going into all of these shelves. But I guess over time, as the plant grows, I am probably going to have to make it more of a floor plant. It's already got my head spinning a little bit about where I will eventually grow it. These lovely shelves behind me here, I'm like, they have got grow lights on them. They could go somewhere else in the house. I know they are perfect in this space, but it would just allow me to grow more, like my bird of paradise there, like more big plants along the back walls. So I guess in, I don't know, 6 months' time, we will have that conversation again and figure some things out. Also, really quickly, my bird of paradise has just given me the most beautiful new leaf, which is making me so happy because, again, I rearranged that plant quite recently and I was like, will it be happy there? And it clearly is, which is good. But then the other ones that I've brought over to show you, all of them are plants that have had something wrong with them or have been doing something a little bit weird. This is a wonky camera, isn't it? have been doing weird things for a while. And the first one is just a little update really, but my Begonia corallina that I got as cuttings from Emma, Good Growing, I chopped that completely back to nothing, I think only about 3 weeks ago. It was one of the plants that I found thrips on, and if you've ever had thrips on a cane begonia, you will know that it is just the worst thing ever because they are so difficult to get rid of. And they usually start at like the central point here where the petiole meets the leaf, and they will just like nibble out. And so many of the leaves were just like completely chewed. And I was like, I feel like if I actually wanted to get the plant back to health, I'd probably have to chop back loads of leaves anyway. So I just made big old cuts at the stem, on the main stem, and growth is already starting to spring back up, and it just looks so much better. As I've said recently, I have introduced a slightly obscene amount of predators into this space to just make sure that I have fully got pests under control. And it's just been wonderful. I know I banged on about biological pest control for ages, and then the hyperfixation ended and I forgot to get more. And now I'm back on my subscription and I'm like, I'm just going to keep it going in this space all the time because it just makes life so much easier to not have to worry about pests. But yeah, this one, as I say, it's growing back beautifully. However, again, I fear gonna have the cane begonia problem of just ending up looking a little bit straggly, because so many cane begonias that I have chopped back will look lovely and then they're just all stem with very little leaf. And that's the reason that I've got rid of cane begonias in my collection recently. Like, I know I've spoken about my begonia Sinbad, and that one at one point was the absolute apple of my eye. But yeah, it got to a point where I was just like, it's just depressing me to look at this plant that just looks half dead all the time, even though it's got maybe like 3 great leaves. So I do hope that this isn't the case for this one. Emma's still got her mother plant and hers is growing really beautifully and does look really full. So in fact, I think I will probably ask her for some tips on what she's doing right. And in the meantime, just absolutely focus on pest preventative measures and just like keeping a better eye on my plants. I really do feel like recently I've had a bit of a kick up the backside in that department, and it is making me more vigilant, and it is making me think that, like I say, I know I've just got a beautiful new big plant, in case I hadn't mentioned it. But yeah, I'm gonna just take things slowly with new plants that I bring into my home. Whenever I get really, really on top of my collection, I often get so excited by the prospect of like new shiny things that I'm like, oh, we'll go and I'll just place a little order and I'll end up with like 15 new plants. I know there's like a lot of clear spaces on my shelves behind me, and as I have said, I'm not in a rush to fill those gaps. So yeah, focusing on the ones that I do love, just bringing them back to their best possible selves, and then we'll see where we stand. But on that note, yes, it is a philodendron. I haven't said its name in so long, but my philodendron Jose Bueno, this is one that I, again, wasn't keeping happily. It was just kind of existing in my space for such a long time. And so recently I did decide to chop the whole plant up. And again, what a good decision that was. Look at this new leaf. It's just given me. Isn't that amazing? And that has literally just happened in the time that it's been water propping. And it actually is looking a little bit horrible in there. I accidentally spilt a container of predatory mites semi into the water. So I do need to get that out and deal with it. But it's rooted amazingly. If you look past all of the predatory mite stuff, you can see it's got fantastic roots. And so I am going to pot this one up. I could pot it up now, to be honest. It is good to go, but I reckon probably next week I will put it up when I've got a little bit of time and I can just sit down and not feel like it's so much like a chore, you know. But I know I said I would probably grow this plant on a moss pole when I got it back, and I could, and I know that that is probably the way that the plant would prefer to grow, but I'm really trying to cut down my moss poling in my collection just in regards to like maintenance and keeping things simple. And I know several of you have said that you do grow yours just with a stake. So I think I'm probably going to go in with a stake and at least start the plant that way. If it's putting out like crazy aerial roots and I feel like it does need a bit more support, yes, I will do a moss pole, but yeah, if I could grow it stake-wise, I would be so happy. These leaves here, obviously, they're not very variegated, and to be honest, that doesn't really bother me. It's just quite nice to know that despite the fact that it wasn't producing much variegation before, it can still do it. It's not like it's completely reverted. So yeah, I'm excited to get it going again. Again though, guys, where is the question? Where shall I grow this plant? That is not a clear answer yet, so need to think that through. I think the thing is at the moment is that so many of my existing plants are getting so big. The next two I'm going to show you as well are getting huge. There is going to come a time where I'm going to have to kind of ask myself, do I want really big plants and less of them, or do I want to grow more variety but have much smaller plants, or just get way better at shopping my plants? These are all questions for another day. But on the note of big plants, you might remember when I went away to Malvern, my massive Alocasia Jacqueline that was giving me leaves like that, it was insane, was left outside, and it not only scorched, but then it also started to rot, and I was heartbroken when I got home. Malvern was, I think, probably about 3 months ago now, and in those 3 months, it has bounced back so well, and in fact, it has got a brand new growth point that I don't know if I feel like it only had 2 before. Like, I feel like this little leaf here is a new growth point. I might be wrong about that. But just look at the size of that leaf there already. And I'm guessing that's just because it has got such a great root system in there. Obviously, the rhizomes were very big. So that's just kind of set it up well to start giving me larger growth from the off. But yeah, it's a plant that I've loved so much over the years and grew from such a teeny tiny little thing originally. The thought of losing this one really made me very sad. So yeah, I'm over the moon that it is bouncing back. The only thing that I do find with the Alocasia Jacqueline is, again, it's a magnet for pests, and not just thrips, it's a magnet for spider mites. I've had, this one before has had mealybugs as well, and mealybugs are the worst thing ever because the texture of this one's leaves, like, you just listen. Do you hear it? It's kind of like scratchy. They're almost like, someone before described it as like the texture of a cat's tongue. Like, it feels quite rough, and this is kind of what the leaf feels like. But it does just mean that it's not even like a velvet leaf plant where you can like wipe it down. If pests get into the upper side of the leaf, they're so difficult to get rid of because they really just get into all of those little hairs. So again, I've got, this is the Aureus larvicatus mites, and this is the Amblysius cucumaris. That is for adult thrips and for young thrips. And as I say, I am just keeping that going, keeping it going. So yeah, long may this continue, and fingers crossed this plant will bounce back and be lovely and big, if not bigger, soon than it was before. But then, finally, on the note, is this the finally, did I have more on my list? Where is my list? 1 second. No, I did have a couple more. So this is not the final plant, but the final one for me sat here on the floor, because I will take you to the other two, is my Alocasia Portadora. And guys, if you've been on my channel for a while, you will have seen the extreme journey that this plant has been on in my time of owning it. I had this plant when I first started on YouTube, which was about 5 years ago now, and this one is actually the oldest plant I think that I've currently got in my collection. I got this one, I want to say probably about 7 or 8 years ago at this point, and I just got it as like, oh, there's a spider. Ooh, where'd he go? Okay, I'm just going to try and get the spider outside. Ah! Say hello to the camera. Yeah, I got this plant, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, from a garden centre, before I really knew that much about houseplants, and I just saw it. And I was like, oh my God, that is the most incredible plant. I'd never seen anything like it. And yeah, it has been a learning curve plant for sure. When I was growing it back at my mum's house in her conservatory, at one point it was producing leaves that were like from there to my hip. They were, or even bigger almost, like they were absolutely ginormous. And then when I moved to the flat, I really struggled with pests in this plant. And don't get me wrong, still to this day, it is an alocasia that is very prone to pests. But I think maybe, I don't know, the fact that it was so packed in the flat just meant that I was always dealing with some sort of pest. So then I put it out on my balcony to I don't know, just deal with itself. And I left it out there all winter and all of the foliage died back. It just went back to absolutely nothing. And it in fact froze completely solid. I brought it in to try and see if the rhizome was savable. And yeah, the soil was just like, I couldn't break it away because it was that frozen. And honestly, at that point, especially considering it could be quite a sensitive plant, I was just like, the plant's done. This Portadora is never bouncing back. And even when I moved in here, it was just, I've just watered it, so it's going to be a bit drippy. But the main bit in the middle there, you can see that's where the plant was growing from before, and it was a beast. But it was just that in the pot, and then all of a sudden I started noticing little growth points, and now it's just back and it's growing amazingly. And yeah, makes me so happy, so happy. Again, it's another one that, as I know from experience, gets very big. So the question again is, where the heck is it going to go? I'm wondering if I just need to create like some kind of tropical greenhouse outdoors. I think it might come to this, guys. I do think it might come to this. But for the time being, it's growing very happily in this space. And I'm just really, I just feel really chuffed with this plant. Because yeah, I thought it was a complete goner. But then, okay, I will talk, because I can see these other two plants. I will talk you through them and I will put clips of them in because they are both up high. The first one is my Scindapsus, and oh my goodness, this one is looking awful, and that is a result of me, me not caring for the plant properly and just neglecting it. It's been in the same pot pretty much since I got it, and I got it a good few years ago now. And I was more on it for some weird reason. I was more on it with watering it when I was at the flat, but I think even then it probably could have done with a pot upgrade. And there's been a few times recently where I have just let it get way too dry, like beyond the point of just a little bit of dry soil. It's been like bone dry for like a week. And as you can see now, so many of its leaves are just really curly. There's several that are yellowing and dying off. So although I could get into the root system and like see if I could do some jiggery pokery and like get the plant back, I do honestly think that I want to reset the plant. So I think I'm going to take it all down, take everything I've done on the wall off and chop it all up and start again. I know that seems heartbreaking because it's such a long plant, but that does just feel like the right thing to do. Again, I think next week I will probably get it down, have a proper reassess, because if the roots are fantastic and I think it's not too bare, maybe I won't do that, but I think that is probably the best thing to be done. And then finally this time, is my Anthurium Big Bill. And oh my goodness, I know this is an Anthurium that can get big, but you guys, you need to see the leaf it's just given me. It is absolutely insane. It is gorgeous. And the reason I got this Anthurium, I got it when I was at the flat, I think a year and a half ago-ish. I got this one because I had experience growing what's commonly known as the Anthurium jungle bush or jungle king. That was one of my first Anthuriums, in fact. And I found that one so easy to grow, really drought tolerant, really hardy. And just going off the foliage, I was like, because this one essentially looks like a trailing version of the Jungle King, I feel like they'll be quite similar. And they are. They're very similar indeed. And this one requires very little care. I water it every kind of 3 to 4 weeks. Again, as I say, it's very drought tolerant. But the growth it gives me and the amount it sizes up with each new leaf just blows my mind. And again, what I love is just like standing in the living room and like looking through to this planty space and seeing all of the like the myriad of different leaf shapes and textures and variegation and all that sort of thing. It just makes me so happy. And recently I've just been ogling over that one, just being like, oh my God. So again, as you can see, things are getting big, and we've just added one more big plant to the equation. So some rethinking is going to have to happen soon, but those are the updates I wanted to take you through today. It's just been a nice excuse to share the new plant with you. But yeah, if you guys have got anything new or anything particularly exciting recently, let me know in the comments below. Again, Charlotte, if you're watching, who I got the amazing Monstera Thai Constellation off, thank you so much. It is my pride and joy. So yeah, very much appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.
Stay sexy, plant lovers.